princesses, it's Kiara with Home Slice Adulting, and I'm coming to you back from vacation with my review for the 2 episodes of Love and Hip Hop that came on last Monday. I want to apologize to you guys. I know for those of you who have been watching my videos, I did mention that I was going on vacation for my birthday. My birthday was yesterday. Yes, I am a Libra, but my boyfriend took me on vacation, but it was a surprise. So I didn't know where we were going, and we ended up going to, on a cruise to Cozumel, which is where I got the hat from, in Mexico. And we also went to Progreso in the Yucatan. So we had a really good time, but because I was on a cruise, I wasn't able to do my videos the way that I want to. So I'm going to squeeze together the 2 episodes that came on last Monday, and then do my regular episodes for the remainder of the reunion. How many parts are there? I don't know if there's only going to be 1 more part or 2 more parts, whatever. But y'all, I'm officially like kind of over Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, and I'm glad that it has come to a close. So let's just go ahead and get started and do a mini review for the season finale, episode 14 of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. So we see Keisha and Boobie are finally divorced, whoop-de-woo. We see Moniece and AD, they're getting back together, whoop-de-woo. We see that Ray 2K is never going to happen. Everybody's ego, excluding Fizz's, I will say, is too big. And J-Boog is like, B2K was better than anything that any of us have done individually. And Ray J is like, well, you can't use the same, you know, gauges to measure my success because I'm not in a group. So yeah, there was just some friction there. Boog wasn't having it. Ray J wasn't having it. I will say Boog kind of got, you know, indignant first, but Ray J, you know, kind of seemed to step out of line. He's like the new Omarion, and Boog was like, well, we can't put a fake Michael Jackson with the Jackson 5. So anyways, that's never not gonna happen, whatever. Ray J was open about it at first, but it just turned really bad or whatever. But the second time that they met up, you know, it was better because this time Fizz actually told both of them that, you know, hey, Ray J's gonna be there and Boog is gonna be there. During that first meeting, Ray J nor Boog knew what, you know, who was gonna be there in the meeting and whatnot. So anyways, they apologized, they made up, and they decided to put a pin in it as far as B2K goes, which is good because it always kind of came off to me that Fizz was a little desperate considering how his individual, you know, stuff wasn't popping the way he would like for it to be. So getting B2K back together would have been an easy way for him to you know, relive his glory days that he hasn't been able to live out since B2K disbanded. Next, we'll talk about Teairra Mari. She looks really good, y'all. She looks really good. See, I wish my hat would stay like that. It's not staying, whatever. But Teairra Mari looks really good. She says she's been working out twice a day because there's nothing else to do in rehab. And you know, Moniece and Nikki go to see her, and Teairra, for whatever reason, feels like rehab was a great experience, but she doesn't like the way the whole intervention thing was set up. And I'm like, if it was a great experience, I mean, let it be a great experience and be grateful that you have friends and, you know, family or whoever that care enough about you to tell you, hey, you have a problem. She said she realized when she got to rehab that she did have a problem and that she is, you know, working to reform her habits or whatever. So if it was a positive experience for you, why are you mad at your friends who just brought that to the light for you so that you could get some help? You're losing weight, you're getting back into music, you're done with Cisco, like your life is turning around for the better, yet you still don't know if you want these people back into your life. And that's really weird to me. Like, I feel like she could have used a few more weeks in rehab, but whatever, you know. The important thing is that she's focusing on the things that she needs to be focusing on these days. Also, like I said, Cisco is out of her life. Her and Cisco have a talk, and she was to the point where she didn't even really need closure with Cisco. And I'm happy about that. Cisco is like the creepiest of all creeps among everybody in the Creep Squad. And I'm happy that Tierra is over it and moving on. So, you know, Cisco doesn't deserve any shine from Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. So send him back to New York. Goodbye. Moving on, we'll talk about the ladies showcase that Donatella put together. We see Hazel E is not going to show up because she doesn't want to be there. If Masika's going to be there, you know, because she may not be able to keep her wig on. But Masika is not a very good artist. I've never heard any of her music outside of this show. And when it's on the show, I'm like, I don't like it. I can't, how did the song go? You can do it. You can do it. And I'm like, no, Masika, you can't. And the outfit that she was wearing was not very suited to her body type. It actually made her look bigger, in my opinion. So her makeup was like the only good thing, and maybe her hair. Her makeup and her hair were like from the neck up, you know, she looked good for her performance. Everything else wasn't a fan of. We see Brooke and Bridget. They both did okay on their performances or whatever, but I don't like the way that they're acting towards each other. It's very strange. They have a frenemy relationship, and they talk about each other's careers, and Brooke is like, if you need to sing my song, you can sing it. And Bridget is like, what, girl fight? And Brooke was like, well, girl fight is still paying my bills. And Bridget is like, well, I have a Grammy for the songs that, you know, I write and whatever. And it's like, y'all are having a pissing contest and getting mad about Booby that neither one of you all is really dating at the time. And Bridget calls Brooke an opening act, and then Brooke calls Bridget her background singer. They're just going back and forth, being very catty or whatever. But the part I didn't like was when Bridget got too hype. Brooke was very calm, and she throws pretzels on Brooke. And Brooke was very cool about it. And she's like, you know what, I'm going to go on stage and do my performance, and you can be mad over there. It's like, Bridget is one of those people that should never be on a reality show, because whatever idea people had about you, like involving your music and who you are, what your personality is, whatever idea they had about you is now tarnished. And now you look like a floozy. You look like someone who is indiscriminate. You look bad, and it's like, now I'm not even interested in hearing any of your music because your personality just completely turned me off or whatever. So anyways, Booby brings flowers, and initially I was like, oh, he's bringing flowers to the girl he slept with in Catalina, aka Bridget. But he brings them to Brooke, and they actually have a conversation about that. And Brooke realizes, I should not be as mad as I am because you and I are technically not together, and I still have a lot of unfinished business with Marcus. So they decide no more secrets, whatever. Moving on, we see Bridget and Marcus on the beach, and Bridget finally brings up that I was serious about our relationship, but when I found out you were still married and that you were messing around with the paralegal who was handling your marriage, that showed me that you weren't serious. And so, Jedi mind trick, you know, Marcus is full of them, and he pulls out the ring that he was going to propose to her with. And it's like, you can't propose to me if you're technically still married, or if you're involved with the person who's handling your divorce. So, yeah, but instead, Brooke gets this overwhelming feeling of like, oh my gosh, I totally messed up, and he was totally gonna propose to me or whatever. You know, that's how her voice inside her head was probably thinking. And she goes over to try to kiss him or whatever, and he's like, oh, no, it's okay. We're not ready for marriage just yet, but that's okay. We're gonna work on it. And so that's cool. I mean, there's, as much as I don't like that Brooke appears to be falling for the mind games, again, I do think Brooke is better matched with Marcus than with Booby. And if Marcus could just get his ish all the way together, they could be a really good couple. So whatever. We see Safari at his going away party. Goodbye, Safari. Hopefully you add something to Love and Hip Hop New York that you did not add to Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. Tierra didn't show up, which is great considering how this party definitely had alcohol and Tiara does not need to be in that environment. AD shows up, her and Moniece work things out, blah blah blah. I don't like them, move on. Hazel and Ray J have a conversation like adults, and something was off about them. Ray J was very subdued. I'm under the impression he had recently smoked some marijuana. I don't know. Because he was like, you know, Ray J's very over the top, but he was like subdued this time around. But and Hazel was like to the point where it sounded like she was almost ready to cry, how upset she was that he tried to play her on her musical talent. And Ray J basically gave her some good advice. This career that you have, you're gonna have to prove yourself, especially when people doubt you. So they had a good conversation and they worked things out. No dildos were, you know, put out on the table, so everything was all good. So here's the end of season finale, episode 14 of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. And at the end, everybody talks about their future and what their future is filled with. And so apparently Hollywood is at Hazel E's disposal, whatever that means, and that she's focusing on her fans. Now, I didn't get a chance to check out the articles and the videos and things that I've been seeing about her going on some type of homophobic rant. But I do know that she's been kicked off the show, which is kind of, thank goodness, whatever. You know, I've never really been a huge fan of Hazel, especially this season when her ego has been blown out of proportion. But I'm hoping that Masika doesn't come back on the show either. Whatever, moving on. So Keyshia Cole is still promoting her album, and that's all she's been doing all season, so that's no surprise. Boobie goes and gets a cover-up tattoo on his hand. He had a tattoo of Keyshia Cole's face and he covered it with a rose. And Brooke was there with him for moral support, probably. And that's cool or whatever. Both he and Keyshia are moving on away from, you know, their marriage. But then I heard something about him asking for custody of their child. And I think that whatever understanding that they had worked out, whatever they made us feel like, hey, everything is going fine, we're still a family, blah blah blah, that's not necessarily the case anymore. So anyways, we see Brooke, and the only thing Brooke talked about when she was talking about, you know, her future was Marcus and Boobie. And it's like, where's your music? Like, focus on your music and stop worrying about, you know, Boobie and Marcus. Like, come on, girl, tell us what you have coming up for your musical future. Anyways, Ray J and Princess still trying to get pregnant. Now, Masika says it's lonely at the top. And I'm thinking, at the top of what? You're not on the top of the charts. You're not winning awards. You're not at the top of anything. So I don't know what she's talking about. And see, this is why I feel like Hazel's ego is up here. And Masika's is just, you know, a teensy bit away from being Hazel ego is basically what she needs to be called. And it's like, Masika, come on. You can't make anybody famous because you're barely famous. Your music career isn't any more popping than Hazel E's career. Yeah, come on. Anyways, I really don't like Masika. Okay, so Zell is still being Zell. Moniece and AD are working it out, and it looks like Zell is out and Mr. Ray is in. Tiara is working out and she's looking more like her old self. And I'm like, great, Tiara. As soon as you get over those emotional issues about being upset about your friends trying to help you out with rehab and whatever, then you'll be great. And Safari is heading back to New York, and we'll see him on Love and Hip Hop New York. Also, I will not be reviewing Love and Hip Hop New York, just FYI. I tried doing it last time, but reviewing 2 shows at one time. I was doing Love and Hip Hop New York and Real Housewives of Atlanta, and it was just too much for me. I'm in school, I'm running a business, I go to work full time. I don't have time for that. So I probably will review Real Housewives of Atlanta though. So let me know if you have any opinion about whether or not I should do that. You can do that in the comment section below. But moving on, let's talk as quickly as possible about the Love and Hip Hop reunion for season 4 part 1. So we start off with Alexis, Sky, and Masika, and y'all, I am so over their beef. It's so stupid. Masika is overly dramatic about being unbothered by Alexis, and Alexis is in some remote area off the stage for her own safety, and she announces her pregnancy, but not before Masika says, oh, is she on maternity leave? And Masika tried to ruin Alexis's, yeah, that's right, Alexis's surprise about being pregnant by Fetty Wap. And then here comes Solo Lucci involving himself, saying that the baby might be his. And it's like, I really don't like, I don't like Solo Lucci. I really dislike that he was trying to play Alexis Sky. I mean, even if the baby is his, I felt the way that he treated her during that whole little session was like nasty and dirty or whatever. But anyway, Masika makes it seem like nobody knows who the father is of Alexis's baby, and Fetty's finally gonna get the child that he begged her for. Whatever. Moving on. Nina asked Alexis Sky if she was sexually active with anybody else during the time that she got pregnant, and I found that question to be like very inappropriate. Like, why are we asking people about their sex lives? And Alexis was like, if what you're getting at is if Solo Lucci is the father, then the answer is no. But we'll see. You know, once the baby is born, there will definitely be a DNA test, and we'll see. I think it's a shame if she went and got back with Fetty just to have a baby, just to have something over Masika. It's very weird. It's definitely a competition. Alexis is like, I'm going to show you how to slay this pregnancy, and our children are going to be siblings, and I'll think about letting them have a play date. And it's like, ew. Like, have some type of, like, it's already nasty enough that Masika, being as old as she is, having a child by a rapper, clearly knowing what she was doing during a one-night stand, and then claiming that oh, we were in a relationship, it wasn't a one-night stand. I mean, like, come on, Masika. It's sad enough that as old as Masika is, who's supposed to be a mature person in her 30s, having a baby by a rapper who, you know, a rapper of yesteryear, as a matter of that. And then you to go behind her and have a baby. Like, come on. Come on. It's Peter and Amina and Tara all over again. Anyways, let's not talk about that anymore. But Masika did have a little point about Fetty apparently had more children while he was supposedly dating Alexis, but Alexis has only gone after Masika because Masika has a platform. And so the issue, according to Alexis, was that it wasn't just the baby. It's that Masika has been coming after Alexis and whatever. Anyways, moving on, there's a point where Masika gets mad. Oh, no, wait. So they bring Lyrica in it, and it's like, leave Lyrica out of this, whatever. And then Zell says he was just trying to keep the peace between two of his friends. And then Masika gets mad at something that Alexis says, and she tries to figure out where Alexis is so she can go beat Alexis up. And it's like, if this woman is pregnant, you can't just go after her. This is why I don't like none of these people, because they don't have enough common sense to be like, this is not what it's, you know, supposed to be like. Anyways, Hazel starts making fun of Masika, and then Moniece jumps out of her seat, you know, trying to attack Hazel Lee or whatever. And here is the issue that I have with Moniece. She voluntarily inserts herself in her friend's beef. And something that I'm realizing from this show in particular is that Masika seems to be the queen bee of like everybody who's in that little friendship circle with her and Moniece and Nia and Zell and Mr. Ray or whatever. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But Moniece voluntarily gets herself involved in these beefs, and then, you know, goes too hard for her friends. And here's another thing that I don't like about her. Moniece is very sensitive about people saying that she is a bad mom, but she doesn't waste any time in telling Hazel that she's barren. It's like, first off, women who are not able to have children is not a joke. It's not something that you should insult somebody about, because we all know that there are women who are very fertile who do not make good mothers, and we also know that there are people who would probably make good mothers but cannot have children. So we don't need to go there on that. And that's one of the things that I don't like about Moniece. Like, how dare you be so sensitive about people talking about you neglecting your child when your own baby daddy and your own mother say that you neglect your child, and then in the same breath call somebody barren, like unable to have children. Come on. Anyways, I really don't like Moniece or Masika or basically anybody in their crew, but whatever. Hazel gets mad about Moniece saying something about Rose Burgundy. And I'm like, Hazel, why are you mad about Rose Burgundy when you basically put this man to the side to go after Booby? Don't know. Anyway, Hazel gets kicked off the set or whatever and she leaves. She's not coming back. We see Moniece, AD, and Tiffany not interested in it. I'm moving on. Tiffany, to me, is definitely too emotionally invested in Moniece and AD, and I believe AD gets a weird kick out of being in the middle of that situation and having two people kind of fight over her. So AD is annoying to me. Whatever. Moving on, Ray J fell off one of his crappy bikes and hurt himself, and he has band-aids all over himself. They talk about the fertility clinic thing and that it was mean to say that Hazel E would be basically what the loser got to make a song with Hazel E, depending on their sperm count. He says his sperm count is back up because he stopped smoking and he's taking vitamins and he changed his lifestyle. But they didn't say anything about Princess being pregnant. So there may be some other barriers to them, because I haven't heard anything about them being pregnant just yet. So hopefully everything works out with that. Ray J bringing that baby around. I forgot the baby's name. Something Rose. Is it something Rose? I can't think of the baby's name, but him with that baby is just a big joke to me, because he was like, I had to pay the ballet $100 to help me out with the baby. And it's like, if you're paying a ballet to help you out with the baby, you're not taking care of the baby. To me, it was a joke that he even brought the baby around, and that it was basically a sign that he's not ready to be a dad. But anyways, I'm not having a baby with him, so whatever. Moving on, we talk about Keisha, Cole, and Booby, and they're comfortable with their situation and being divorced and him having to live with her in a little while and them being there for their child or whatever, and everything is fine, and they're kind of having fun with the idea of them, you know, being divorced or whatever. And then Brooke jumps in and I'm like, come on, Brooke. Like, I like Brooke. I've been lobbying for Brooke basically the whole time that I've been reviewing this season, but this time I couldn't really mess with her on this. When Nina asked Booby if he was happily single, and Booby says yes. He says, yes, I am happily single. And then Brooke jumps in and she's like, oh no, he's not happily single. He's a Southern man. He was raised around marriage and marriage. And it's like, what? Like, why would you even know that? You gotta be quiet. You have Marcus sitting next to you. You gotta stop. You may be his best friend, but you're not his spokesperson. I didn't like that. I felt like she should have just been quiet, but whatever. Next, we talk about Bridget and James. We spent way too much time talking about Bridget and James for them to have such little parts on the show. But anyways, multiple producers on the set, including Safari and Solo Lucci, agreed with Ray J that Bridget needed to pursue this pretty girl angle that's a younger, sexier, hotter version of Bridget. And it's like, I don't know anybody who's hotter in certain areas than Bridget is, but whatever. And then she tried to be a feminist and was like, you know, men talk about how great they are in bed all the time. Why can't a woman talk about it? And it's like, Bridget, no. You don't get to talk about that, okay? And so they define auntie music, and James is like, it's about, we know what auntie music is, okay? It's the kind of music that Bridget used to make before Ray J got his hands on her, okay? Anyways, Bridget was very resistant with Nina when Nina asked how many men she cheated with James on. And James was like, multiple. Like, I said multiple, I meant multiple. But Bridget was like, cheating is cheating, whether it's once or twice or thrice or quadruple or quintuple. And I'm like, you're making yourself look bad. real bad. But anyways, Nina brings up this double standard about men cheating on women versus women cheating on men. And then Solo Lucci was like, well, it's not really a double standard if you cheated on him for 7 years, but you've been good for 1 year, which is kind of true. But both James and Bridget are over and done with, which is great. I think James dodged a bullet, and I think Bridget is an idiot, and that she is delusional, and that until she gets her act together, her career won't ever go anywhere. And I think that she doesn't need to come back next season, because I don't think there's any amount of damage control that she could do to make anybody like her again. Whatever. And then we see Safari plotting to get with Bridget or whatever. So we see the B2K drama unfold. A1 and Fizz say that Omarion is on his high horse. And for the very first time since ever, we hear Fizz blatantly say that Omarion basically cannot be a popular solo artist. And I'm like, oh, this is the first time that we've heard him talk about him in like such a blatant way, saying like, nah, he can't do it. And that was funny to me. I had to pause the TV because I was laughing so hard. And I can see how Fizz felt like we grew up together. We were in this group together, and it is a slap in the face for you to ignore me when I'm talking about getting the group back together or whatever. So I just thought it was hilarious for him to say Omarion can't be, you know, what he wants to be. It's freaking hilarious. Anyways, B2K, y'all, when Ray J said B2 Ray, that was so funny to me, and I like that better than Ray 2K. But anyways, Safari does some weird dance, and his fur, I didn't like his fur. I don't like furs in general, but the red fur was too much. Anyways, the last thing we see is the Battle of the Guzmans, and I am over it. Nina brings up how Zell shouldn't be fat shaming, which is cool. It's weird how Nina was kind of like the morality police in this situation, and she brought up double standards multiple times and fat shaming and, you know, bullying and whatnot. And so Zell appeared to feel sorry about that or whatever. He actually said Mr. Ray was a nice looking guy. And from what I saw in social media, I knew that something went down with Zell, because he came out with a video saying that he had been kicked out for fighting. So I'm like, why does he seem so calm right now? He goes over to hug Mr. Ray after Nina asks about a truce, and all we hear is, oh, because apparently Zell attacked Mr. Ray once he was close enough to do so. And we see that, you know, Mr. Ray is bleeding on the previews for next time, and it's like, Zell is freaking crazy. On one hand, he's entertaining, but on the other hand, for him to talk like he was apologetic about the way that he treated Mr. Ray, and to walk over there and to just attack the man, to me it was like knuckin' futz. And I feel like he's a loose cannon is the word I'm thinking, the term I'm thinking of. I feel like he's a loose cannon. I feel like he's a liability, and he needs to be off the show, just for that reason. I mean, granted, he was entertaining, but for somebody to flip the crazy switch that fast, it was just nuts. And we'll see the aftermath of that next time. But I managed to do the review for those two shows, thank goodness, in less than 30 minutes. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. It's coming to a close, thank goodness, and the new episode comes on tomorrow, so check out my review for that. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out, home slices.